Maxmustard from Toastinteractive promises a colourful VR platformer to fill a certain robot-shaped gap on PSVR2, but does it cut the mustard, or is it weak sauce? Let's find out. First up, thanks to the developer for providing me with a review key for the game, but as always the opinions presented here are entirely my own. Maxmustard is a classic 3D platformer in the style of Mario 64 and Astrobot. Previously available for Quest headsets, it now arrives on PSVR2 with a whole host of improvements from enhanced graphics to haptic feedback. And just to say, although it feels a bit unfair to continually compare this to Astrobot, I will be mentioning the A word approximately 5 more times during this review. Astrobot Rescue Mission was a phenomenal game on the original PSVR, and the recently released flat-screen Astrobot, although equally great, caused a fair amount of disappointment in its complete lack of VR support. PSVR2 has had a couple of decent platformers in titles such as Moss and Ven, but the playing field is still wide open for another challenger. The main focus of the story here is that our protagonist Max needs your help to rescue the Mud Pups, cute little critters who have been kidnapped by Stubbins, the bad guy of the piece. There's a bit of a side story going on, told through various letters and fan mail received between levels, but it's slightly dark in tone, which feels strangely at odds with the otherwise bright and breezy presentation. However, the storytelling isn't particularly invasive, so it's up to you how much attention you give it. The game offers up 40 levels split across 4 arcs, and is a nice mixture of third-person and first-person gameplay. Although you predominantly control Max from the third person, there are numerous occasions where you simultaneously interact from a first-person point of view using a couple of tools that become available to you along the way. This includes a plunger gun, which can fire plungers to activate buttons and dispose of enemies, and a vacuum, which can be used to suck up fruits and coins, and also bad guys, who can then be shot back out at various targets. Aside from the first-person tools, there's also a range of power-ups for Max to purchase using the in-game currency. These include things like ground pounds, boost attacks, and increasing the amount of loot or health packs found in the levels. Throughout the game, you'll make liberal use of Max's jet boots to hover around, traverse large spaces, and reach otherwise inaccessible areas. There's a nice variety of levels, often each introducing some new type of gameplay or mechanic to keep things feeling fresh. There are also set-piece boss fights at the end of each arc, and some bonus shooting gallery type levels along the way for building up points and currency. I was also impressed by the quick loading times between levels, meaning you're never left twiddling your thumbs. Now when it comes to platformers, one of the key ingredients is getting the controls and the feel of it just right. I'm pleased to say they've absolutely nailed it here, and the game feels perfect to control. In practice, this means whenever you fail, it's almost always fair and down to your mistakes, rather than because of any lack of responsiveness in the controls. Visually, the game has a bright and colourful style which really pops on the PSVR2's OLED display, along with some great character models and environments. It also looks really sharp in the headset, has great viewing distances and maintains a smooth frame rate at all times. Audio is also really well done, with loads of satisfying sound effects and a whole host of catchy tunes to get stuck in your head. Control-wise, the game uses both sense controllers and provides a straightforward control scheme for both third and first-person interactions. There's a nice use of haptics in the controllers and headset, giving you some tactile feedback for the on-screen action. The game can be played equally well standing or seated, but seated is probably the way to go as there's no real need to be standing for this one. Comfort shouldn't be a problem as it's mostly slow forwards movement with head turning to look around. Oddly, click turning is available as a purchase in the shop rather than immediately available in the options. The dev has explained this as a design choice for various reasons, and regardless, you rarely need to turn anyway, aside from occasionally checking whether you missed something. All positive so far, and to be honest, I'm struggling to come up with any real negatives. Sure, some of the worlds are a bit generic, arguably a problem with most platformers, and there are limited enemy types and power-ups. You might also say it's not quite as immersive in the VR aspects as Astrobot Rescue Mission was. At the end of the day though, this has come from a comparatively small development team with limited resources, and what they've achieved here is impressively polished in all respects. Although it's clearly inspired by other titles at times, it still brings enough originality to the table to give it its own identity. The amount of hours you get from it will vary depending on your ability and approach to how you play, but I'd say you're looking at around 6 or 7 hours to complete everything, with some replayability thanks to the score and time-based bonus levels. Although it does present a challenge at times, I felt that for the most part it leans on the easier side of things. For comparison, nothing here is as tricky as some of the challenge levels from Astrobot. This makes it more of a relaxed experience rather than frustrating, which is no bad thing unless you're a complete platforming sadist. For the trophy hunters, there are 29 trophies to collect, mostly obtained for progressing through the main game, along with a platinum for completing everything. As you can probably tell, I like Max Mustard a lot. The fact I played this on the back of completing Astrobot and still really enjoyed it speaks volumes. I honestly got snagged by that one more go factor and couldn't stop playing until I reached the end. At just over £20 on the PS Store, I actually think they're underselling this, so it's also a bit of a bargain, making it an easy recommendation to any platforming fans. And here's hoping this isn't the last we see of Max on PSVR2.